Before we begin, first of all, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Before we begin, I'd like to ask that you please join me in a moment of silence for all the victims of the recent earthquake in Haiti and victims of the political changes happening in Afghanistan. We keep all the victims and their extended families, including members of the HCCC family, in our thoughts and prayers. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Wonderful to be back together again. For those who've just returned to campus on ground, welcome back. We're looking forward to the start of the fall semester and to seeing one another more often. We hope to begin offering town hall meetings on ground with a virtual component beginning next month, but we're going to have to continue to monitor circumstances, obviously, with the Delta variant, which we'll speak about later. In order to speak during today's meeting, please raise your hand with the hand raising notification icon during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. Willie Shirer will let us know who would like to speak, and then he'll unmute speakers one at a time. Today, we're very pleased to welcome in absentia the newest member of our HCCC family, Catherine Morales. Catherine is the new director of the Hudson Health Resource Center. She's unable to be here today, so we'll officially welcome her at next month's town hall meeting. We also welcome John Chisholm into his new role as Safety and Security Associate. John is now formally a Hudson County Community College employee. We welcome Molly Delaney, our new Student Success Coordinator for the college's partnership with the International Union of Operating Engineers. We welcome Kirsten Gordon, who's Coordinator of Continuing Education and Workforce Development. We welcome our alumnus, Brian Rebos, who joins our staff as PC Technician, and Ashley Shaw, who's our new Student Success Coordinator for incarcerated and reentry students. Welcome, new colleagues, to the HCCC family. We all look forward to working with you. Several of the members of our HCCC family have just retired or have announced planned future retirement dates recently. We thank each colleague from the bottom of our hearts, and we have either celebrated already or will celebrate their service to Hudson County Community College in the days and weeks ahead, and a couple of cases in the months ahead. We'll miss all of them greatly, but we wish them a long, happy retirement, and we remind them that they're always going to be members of the HCCC family. We thank Paul Dillon, Associate Dean of Business, Culinary Arts, and Hospitality Management, who retired on August 1st. Catherine Vargo, Coordinator of Testing, Nursing, and Health Sciences, who retired on August 1st. Nabil Marshoud, Professor of Humanities and Social Sciences, who will retire on August 31st. Phil Cafaso, Professor of Business, Culinary Arts, and Hospitality Management, who will retire on September 1st. Linda Fernandez, Counselor, who will retire on September 1st. Sirun Mugardician, Associate Professor of Culinary Arts, who will retire on September 1st. Rosie Soy, Associate Professor of English and ESL, who will also retire on September 1st. Anthony Chuyek, Head Tutor for English, Humanities, and Social Sciences, who will retire on September 15th. Marcella Williams, Executive Secretary in the President's Office, who will retire on January 1st. And Jennifer Oakley, Executive Administrative Assistant to the President, who will retire on January 17th, 2022. Thank you, colleagues, for your exemplary service to our students, our college, and our community. Over the weekend, I had a long telephone conversation with Lenore Perlstein, who is publisher of Insight into Diversity, which is the largest and probably most well-respected national diversity and inclusion publication and website in higher education. I'm really happy to inform you that Hudson County Community College has been selected to receive the Insight into Diversity Higher Education Excellence in Diversity, or HEED Award, H-E-E-D. The award, and I'm quoting from Insight into Diversity, recognizes colleges and universities that demonstrate an outstanding commitment to diversity and inclusion. Hudson County Community College is one of only 10 or so community colleges nationally to be recognized this year, and they recognize 2- and 4-year colleges across the nation, public, private, big, small. What I really wanted to share is during our conversation, Ms. Pearlstein was very specific and congratulatory in her remarks about what we're doing here at HCCC to promote and support diversity, equity, and inclusion in all forms. She noted that our receipt of this award will gain Hudson County Community College significant national recognition and will be very helpful in future grant applications. Our selection as a 2021 HEED Award College will be announced by the magazine in September, after which we'll be able to make our own announcement, but we're permitted to share the news now with our college community. Folks, this significant national recognition is another point of pride made possible by the engagement and excellence of so many in the HCCC family. We congratulate and thank everyone, and more to come. As you're aware, we continue our work with Evergreen Solutions, our HR consultant that's helping us with the employee compensation and classification study. We thank employees college-wide who completed the JAT survey regarding their positions, providing updated comments about updating job descriptions. We will formally update all positions college-wide following completion of the Evergreen study and the receipt of Evergreen's report with their recommendations. Hopefully, we will receive that report by the end of this calendar year, and then we'll move forward immediately thereafter to update all position descriptions informed by your comments. Evergreen's currently preparing to conduct a market study of a cross-section of HCCC faculty and staff positions by comparing college salaries to those at benchmarked community colleges. Most of the recommended benchmark institutions are urban, diverse, similar in size, and located in or near our region of the country. I've sent the rationale and proposed listing of benchmark institutions to the officers of our Professional Association, Academic Administrators Association, Support Staff Federation, and Adjunct Faculty Federation, requesting their review, questions, and comments. I also shared this information with our Board of Trustees Personnel Committee and with all trustees. Meetings being scheduled with Professional Association officers, cabinet members, and Evergreen to review and discuss several questions and comments submitted by the Professional Association officers. When we've determined the final listing of benchmark institutions, the study will commence. And following the market study, Evergreen will develop a proposed employee position classification system, which we currently, of course, do not have. The recommended system will group HCCC positions that are similar in scope and impact into proposed position classification categories with recommended salary ranges informed in part by the market study. Refinements in our position titles to provide greater internal and market consistency will also be proposed. The system will help identify and correct internal salary equity gaps over time. It will facilitate greater consistency in titles and pay and improve our ability to recruit and retain employees in the long term. Evergreen's final report containing all findings and suggestions, as I said, should be completed by the end of this calendar year, after which we'll discuss the report college-wide and with our trustees. And we will then work together to determine recommendations and changes that we wish to consider and implement over time as conditions allow. And I'm hoping we'll be able to make some changes right away. Obviously, any changes that have a financial impact will have to be made as we are able. We also believe that the report will be very helpful in informing our next round of negotiations with our 4 unions, which will begin next spring. Anna Krapitsky, our Vice President for Human Resources, continues to work closely with Evergreen and serves as our liaison for communications and updates on this important initiative. So please feel free to contact Anna with questions or feedback about this work. Joining us today are Dr. Jeff Ling, who's President of Evergreen Solutions, and Mark Holcomb, who's Evergreen Project Consultant. I've invited them to say a few words, and then we'll entertain questions. And after that, we'll continue with the rest of my report. But we'll talk about questions immediately following their remarks so that they can then move on to the rest of their day. And Jeff and Mark, we greatly appreciate your being here. I turn it over to you.
River, thank you for the introduction and the opportunity to be here with your town hall today. I want to reiterate the president's comments. We're very appreciative, all of our staff, for the participation and your time in going through and completing the JAT process, providing information about your jobs. We're firm believers that the biggest expert or the most knowledgeable expert in anything you do is yourselves. And so it's critical as we go through this process that we have your feedback and your information so we can make sure that we're aligning things appropriately and developing a system that will not only serve the institution in the immediate term, but also going forward in the future. What I wanted to very briefly touch on today is where we're at in the process and what's upcoming. We were put in context, did a very nice job of indicating the help you've given us and then the help that we'll be asking for moving forward. But I want to give a little bit higher level view. As many of you probably are aware, there's multiple phases or steps that go into a process like this one. It really starts off by learning about the institution or the organization, and that's the step that we're engaged in currently. That's where we ask you to fill out the surveys about your job. We ask the supervisors to review that information. We also have an opportunity for supervisors to identify issues that they feel like may be challenges for recruitment, retention, career path development, and quite frankly, anything else that could be addressed from a compensation or classification standpoint. So where we're at in the process is actually finalizing that information. As the president mentioned, what we'll move to next is looking externally. We'll begin looking at your peers. We have a meeting scheduled to have a discussion about the selected peers and the jobs that we'll be utilizing for survey purposes. And we'll go out and ask your peers a series of questions. We'll ask them not just what their minimum and maximum pay would be, but how they've structured work, how they reward people over time, how people move through their system, or how their pay changes over time within their system, within their organization. And then, as mentioned, we'll begin working in the fall on what are some alternatives based on those findings. And we go into this without, although we do quite a bit of work with two-year institutions throughout the country, we don't go in with a pre-baked or pre-made solution or a recipe that we follow every time. We look at your individual needs, your individual findings, and then produce or recommend outcomes that would address your needs. So that will be occurring in the fall, and then we'll be back to visit with you again about what we found, what we're recommending, and some of those paths forward that we were able to identify. As Dr. Reaver mentioned, Mark and I will be happy to answer any questions that you might have today or talk further about the process.
Thanks so much, Jeff. So if you have a question, could you raise your hand and Willie will facilitate. Or comments. Angela, are you trying to speak to us? I think you're on mute, or maybe you're not. Any questions?
No, I'm just having technical problems with the computer.
Okay.
I want to thank Evergreen for joining us at the town hall. I'm sure we have questions.
I think I see Lisa Bogart with her hand up. Lisa?
I'm trying to reach her.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself, so thank you. My question is, what are some of the other institutions that we are not being compared with, but that are also being looked at as sort of our peers in this study and ultimate report?
So I'll ask Mark to pull up the list, and I'll talk generally about our thinking or the method that we utilize, and then Mark can mention a few of the institutions that are included. So basically, when we work with any two-year institution, and we do a considerable amount of work with two-year institutions, we start off by looking at your demographics, at your budget, so what your expenditure pattern is, your geographic region. We look at your turnover reports. We take a look at the programs that you offer. And that's really where we start. And typically we use national data sources like iPads to look at similar characteristics across institutions. And we create a much wider list than the list that we would utilize. And then as we go through and look at size and staffing, size and budget, as we take a look at the programmatic offerings, as we take a look at diversity of the student body served, geographic location, that reduces the list down to a subset of institutions out of that initial list that we create. And then that is the group that we reach out to collect data from. And as I mentioned, we collect more than just their pay practices. We ask them for their job descriptions. We ask them to give us some details about how well they think the jobs match. We ask them about their organizational structure. We ask them a few financial questions as well to ensure that the information that we receive from those national sources, in essence, what to your institutions report to the federal government, that it's a good representation at their current state of what's going on within the institution. Mark, if you want to name 4 or 5 institutions, that would be beneficial.
Jeff and Mark, I'm comfortable. Let's just read them the whole list. Right now, there are 15 recommended institutions between, I think with enrollments between 5,000 and 11,000. We're right in the middle of that at about 8,000 for fall. And let's read them the list. But we are going to be discussing this and some questions that the PA has raised. So the list isn't yet final. But go ahead, Mark. I appreciate it.
Sure. So on the list that we have right now, and again, still to be discussed and continued on, we've got Middlesex County College, Essex County College, Passaic County Community College, Union County College, Hostess Community College, Queensborough Community College, Bronx Community College, Howard Community College, Bunker Hill Community College, Manchester Community College, Gateway Community College, Mercer County Community College, Rowan College at Burlington County, Kingsborough Community College, Nassau Community College, Rockland Community College, and then Westchester Community College. That's the list that we have currently that we're looking at, and then again continuing on with some conversations and feedback.
Thanks, Mark. Other questions? Or comments?
No raised hands at the moment.
Okay. Well, again, should you have any questions? Oh, go ahead, Angela. Go ahead. Angie, do you having problems?
No, it doesn't allow you to unmute. Someone else has to unmute, I guess a person from IT. No, I guess my question would be, is this information, the information that the rep from Evergreen just shared with us, is that going to be uploaded onto the portal? Will we be able to review any changes or updates or, like the status of the study on our portal page? I don't know if it's for Anna or for the Evergreen rep.
Sure. I think once we have the benchmarks finalized, that's something that was a major milestone that I think we were waiting for, and that will be updated on the portal and I'll circulate a note just to make sure everyone's aware that we've updated the information for review.
Thank you, Anna. Any other questions, comments? So once again, if you have questions or comments that come up, feel free to contact Anna. You can certainly feel free to contact me, but Anna is our lead here, and we do want to keep the college community fully informed. I actually thank the academic administrators, officers, Jose and his team, for suggesting to me that we do this today. I'm remiss for not having been keeping you better informed, but I think you can see that we're making good progress, and we'll keep you informed when that report's out. Is going to be totally transparent, shared with everyone. The one admonition that I always feel I must make is remember that we're not going to be able to, I'm sure we're not going to be able to implement all recommendations overnight. And we will do what we can as a community as resources permit, but we're committed to the work. We're committed to continuing to make progress, and it's going to be totally transparent, and we want everybody's involvement and engagement. So Jeff and Mark, thank you so much. We really appreciate our partnership with you and your help in this exceedingly important project. For the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having us. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on, I'm delighted to share that our fall enrollment continues to move in a positive direction. When have we said that? As of yesterday, the decline in our fall 2021 student headcount has further narrowed. This is a trend we've been observing through much of the summer. Enrollment is currently down college-wide by 4.89% over last fall, but our new student enrollment headcount for fall is now up by 7.81%. And our full-time equivalent enrollment is currently down by 7.01%, but up by 7.81% in new student FTE. We're cautiously optimistic that we'll make further progress before the fall semester begins and later in the fall for our Quick Start offerings. The increase in new student enrollment is a very promising continuing trend, and it's the result of the hard work of Associate Dean of Enrollment Services, Matt Fessler, Associate Dean for Academic and Student Success, Dr. Sheila Dinan, all members of their teams, and faculty and staff and students in every part of the college. Let's keep this momentum going. We're all looking forward to College Service Day next Wednesday, August 25th. As you're aware, this year's College Service Day will return on ground with attendance at both the Journal Square and North Hudson campuses, linked by our new immersive telepresence video, or ITV technology. So we'll have live groups at both campuses, and we'll also provide remote access for those who can't attend College Service Day at either of the on-campus meeting locations. And I'm thinking that's likely to be our new normal, though we'll all discover that together. But I really want to say how excited we are to welcome Dr. Sarah Goldrick-Robb as this year's College Service Day speaker. As many of you are aware, Dr. Goldrick-Robb is Executive Director of the Hope Center at Temple University and a national scholar and expert on the needs of students who are food insecure, housing insecure, homeless, and or challenged with other serious concerns and barriers to their academic success. It's work grounded in equity, and Dr. Goldrick-Robb's work has truly inspired our development of Hudson Helps and our wraparound support services for students. I thank Director of Faculty and Staff Development, Lalisa Williams, Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Darryl Jones, our All-College Council, members of our College Service Day Committee, and so many others for planning this day of professional development for our college community. Dr. Goldrick-Robb will be speaking remotely from Temple. I believe her remarks are scheduled to begin at 10 to 11 a.m. And even if you can't attend all of College Service Day, I hope you will at least try to attend her remarks because they are so front and center to what we are doing here. And I can also tell you her remarks will be recorded, and hopefully we'll be able to put those on our YouTube channel for those who can't tune in. But should be a really wonderful day. Dr. Jones has led the search processes for Executive Director of Online Learning, Executive Director of the North Hudson Campus, and soon for Dean of Libraries, Associate Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences, and Associate Dean of Business, Culinary Arts, and Hospitality Management. Wow, there's a whole lot going on. Those are all so important. Darryl, I really do want to take this opportunity to thank you for your leadership. And I've asked Darryl to offer an update on the status of these searches and vacancies. Dr.
Certainly.
Jones.
Thank you, Chris, and good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to remind the college community or make those aware who are not familiar that our new Executive Director for the Center of Online Learning, Mr. Matthew LeBrake, will be joining the college community on August 30th. So please welcome him. He will be located in the L building in the Center for Online Learning. We're excited to have Matthew join us. In fact, he has been on campus at least 3 times thus far, handling HR business and also meeting with other college team members. And as Chris had indicated, there are a number of very important searches that will take place, along with a number of faculty searches that will take place also. And I implore the college community, those present, those not, those watching the recording, to express your interest in volunteering to serve on the screening committees. Your feedback and your guidance is always needed. And the final thing that I'd like to share is that I am pleased to share with the college community an update on the executive director search for North Hudson campus. And we recently hosted 3 very talented, 3 very passionate candidates or finalists for this position. And there was excellent feedback from the college community. And I think that our process with the candidate feedback form, I think that process works. And the candidate in the college community was very forthcoming and sharing their perspectives on all of the finalists. So I am pleased to share with the college community that Joe Caniglia has accepted the offer to serve as the next executive director of the North Hudson campus. So congratulations, Joe Caniglia. And I also would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation for the time, the effort, the level of passion that Veronica Gerasimo and Jose Lowe gave to the effort, gave to the position. I learned a lot from both of you, and continued success, continued success. Chris, those are my remarks as it relates to updates on positions.
Thank you very much, Darryl. And I just would like to echo Darryl's comments. Once again, we had this internal search of 3 exceptional colleagues, any of whom could do this job well. So the heartache is always you can choose one. But we're delighted to have Joe move into this position. He brings so much with him to this position. And Jose and Veronica, we so appreciate everything you do here. And as always, we will look for future opportunities for those who are interested. Our Return to Campus Task Force continues its dedicated work to lead, advise, and support our community. Recently, I sent an update to the college community informed by the advice and guidance of our Return to Campus Task Force, and as always, informed by the guidance of the Centers for Disease Control. We're very pleased that our surveys of faculty, staff, and students have revealed that approximately 90% of students are fully vaccinated or will be fully vaccinated by the start of fall classes, and 94% of employees are or will be fully vaccinated. We continue to urge everyone who is able to become fully vaccinated. It's vitally important to protecting yourselves and others. We're sending $100 in federal stimulus funding to every student who provides proof of vaccination. They're rolling in every day, the applications. To date, we've processed or are currently processing payments to nearly 1,700 students who will be here in the fall, and that number continues to grow. As you're aware, the Health and Safety Committee of the Return to Campus Task Force has recommended that we return to requiring everyone to wear masks in HCCC indoor facilities until further notice, when circumstances allow us to again unmask if fully vaccinated and we choose to do so. We will never require people who want to wear masks not to wear them. But for now, we're asking everyone to again wear them. We've approved the recommendation of the task force, and we further urged all unvaccinated students to study and utilize services online or remotely in the fall. This is especially important given the rise of the Delta variant. And we are offering a full and robust schedule, as you know, of online and remote and hybrid courses, but online and remote in this case. And we continue to offer all of our services remotely. in addition to offering all of our services on the ground. So for those students who are not fully vaccinated, please study it and utilize services remotely or online, but better yet, please get vaccinated. Our state-of-the-art air purification systems in all of our buildings continue to serve us all well, and they'll remain operative on a permanent basis. They're like in the industry's best, 99.8% purification. And certainly, as we have since the beginning of the pandemic, we'll continue to monitor guidance and recommendations from the CDC and adjust our plans accordingly as appropriate. At this time, I'm pleased to invite RTC Task Force co-chairs, Lisa Doherty and Dr. Heather DeVries, to offer an update. And Lisa and Heather, thank you again so much for all you are doing to lead us in this time of challenge.
Thank you, Chris. I'll start us off and then turn it over to Heather. Thank you to the entire college community for making yesterday's full return to campus, I think, fairly smooth. I didn't hear of any major hiccups. I know there are probably some technology needs and plexiglass needs, and some plants maybe didn't look as good as they did when you left, but hopefully, by and large, it was a smooth return, and it was really wonderful to see, albeit a very long line, a lot of you at the food truck at Journal Square yesterday, and I know the one at North Hudson was enjoyed as well. So for those of you that had to give up yesterday, we are trying to get another food truck next week to make sure that everyone gets their share of really yummy food. So with that, I do encourage you to always be checking and rechecking the return to campus web pages, specifically the FAQs. If and when guidance changes or our position on anything changes, we will update those FAQs. So they are updated with the latest guidance in terms of the new mask mandate and the types of advice we'll be giving students, faculty, and staff who report positive cases and or potential exposures. As we have from the very beginning, we are following the CDC to a T. And if anything, maybe with the mask mandate going a little bit further than that. But we are always going to be linking back to the CDC on the RTC pages, but encourage you to look on the CDC site yourself. When you report a positive case, please continue to do so on the COVID-19 positive cases form. We are going to give you advice based on your vaccination status. So we're, again, following the CDC. If you're vaccinated, here's what you do. If you're unvaccinated, here's what you do. But again, as Chris mentioned, please get vaccinated. They are readily available at all CVS and Walgreens. We are no longer holding vaccinations on campus. That ended as of July 29th. If and when boosters are recommended or widely available, we certainly will invite the North Hudson Community Action Center back, Community Action Corporation back to assist us with that. So again, we're deferring to the CDC in all cases. Our guidance for positive cases and exposures will be purely by the CDC, and also our health and safety group is meeting on a regular basis to make sure that we're advising the community appropriately. As always, we are monitoring the situation every single day. Chris is in touch with the presidents of the other colleges. Heather and I will begin meeting with the return to campus groups at the other colleges, and we are prepared to pivot in any direction if we need to. So just rest assured, we are monitoring it as we go. We continue to meet. We have a leaders meeting this Thursday, and the whole group continues to meet. As you returned to campus yesterday, and as you're returning to campus, if you have any concerns, questions, worries, situations, please communicate with your supervisor. You know, as we have from the beginning, we really are approaching this with the greatest deal of care and compassion for our faculty, staff, and students. If you have a situation and you're not sure how to handle it, or the FAQs don't seem to be giving you the exact information you need, just talk to your supervisor. They also have supervisors, and we will figure out a solution that works for everyone. So we do appreciate your cooperation. And again, it was so great to see so many faces yesterday. It was so noisy in enrollment services today. Oh my gosh, it was great. So with that, I will turn it over to my wonderful co-chair, Heather DeVries.
Thank you, Lisa. As Lisa mentioned, in terms of logistics, the Return to Campus Task Force, both the smaller leaders group as well as the full task force will continue to meet on alternating weeks throughout the fall semester. We just renewed the calendar invite And we haven't asked that task force members, if they are unable to attend based on their schedules for fall, do designate an alternate or a representative to join us. So those meetings are continuing, and it seems Lisa and I will resume meeting with representatives from the other county colleges as well this fall. So we're kept apprised of what our sister schools are doing and the questions they're facing. Otherwise, we wanted to highlight the Back Together Again events that are happening this week. The first of which was the food trucks yesterday, which again, I heard about the lines and we're thrilled that it was so well received. A huge shout out to Amala Ogburn and Anna Krupitsky for really spearheading the organization of this week of events. We celebrate being back together again. Yesterday was food trucks and coffee with HR at North Hudson. Today there was an ice cream social at 2 p.m. at North Hudson. And then at Journal Square, Steps for Wellness, which is sponsored through Human Resources. I believe they're walking down to Liberty State Park. Is that correct, Anna? Yes, I see a head nod. So those are today's events. The walk begins at 4 p.m. And then tomorrow you get a break. Everyone can rest, catch up on work and emails. And then we resume full force on Thursday and Friday. Thursday, there was a barbecue up at North Hudson, again, 4 to 6 p.m. Please RSVP via the Eventbrite link. I believe it is in the flyer communication circulated late last week and then again yesterday. And then on Friday, there is coffee with HR at Journal Square, an ice cream social at Journal Square in the afternoon. And then the week wraps up with a mixer at Journal Square in Culinary in the banquet room. And hopefully we can utilize some outside space in Culinary Park as well. And that is at 4 p.m. Again, there's an RSVP link for that as well. Throughout the week, there will be raffles. And then at the end of the week too, there are gift bags available. So a lot of exciting events in which to take part. And I look forward to seeing many of you in person for the first time. Thank you, everyone. Dr. Reber, we will turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Heather. We are, again, so exceedingly grateful to you and all members of the RTC Task Force for your continuing leadership, guidance, and support. Recently, the President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion completed and released its 2021 to 24 DEI Action Plan. It's a comprehensive plan for advancing our work to support diversity, equity, and inclusion in all forms. The exceedingly thoughtful plan with specific goals and measurable outcomes is truly a blueprint for our collective efforts to move to the next level of excellence in this area of institutional priority. I'd now like to invite Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Eurus Publes, and PAC Day co-chairs Lalisa Williams and Jose Lowe to offer a DEI update. We'll start with Eurus, followed by Lalisa and Jose. I've also asked Eurus, while he's speaking, to share an update of our efforts to find a better interim parking solution at the North Hudson campus. Eurus.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chris, the opportunity to speak today. And very briefly, I just wanted to share that over the next couple of weeks or days, I should say, you're going to see a flyer, might have my picture on it, and it's going to be heading something along the lines of all ears. That's going to be like a listening hour that we're organizing. We want to make sure that as we start to move this initiative forward, the office, as we're launching it, to make sure that we are all doing it together and that I'm able to listen to all of you, listen to your ideas, to make sure that we're able to support your effort the best way that we can. I also want to share that Jackie Safant, the director of DEI for accessibility services, her and Corinne Davis, they're now relocated into the L building, the lower level, so they're together. So it's more practical for students to have them both at the same place. Jackie is working. If you take a look at your email, once a week, you're going to see a flyer. It's bringing awareness to professors, to faculty about accessibility services, policy, practices, what to expect with the students. So if you can, just keep an eye out for that. Like that, if you have any questions, they'll be able to address that in those presentations. If those times are not adequate for you, please reach out to them, and we just want to make sure that all the information gets out and that you have the information that you need to do that. I know that Jackie is also working with Anna Krupitsky from Human Resources do like a similar type of presentation for employees. So, you'll know what to expect and what options are there for you. And we're also partnering with enrollment services. We want to make sure, and we're really excited about this, we want to make sure that we're able to put like an enrollment-based presentations for prospect students and for their parents. Because when they come out of high school, they have a lot of questions out there. And we want to make sure that we're able to provide those in the front end rather than having them come in a semester or two and then, find out later on. So we want to be as proactive on that as possible. I'm also happy to share that Michelle Baitali, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Cultural Affairs, she's hosting our own Professor Jeremiah Typen. He has an exhibit in the gallery called Inter-Exit Phase, and it's beautiful. There is it's like a mixture of how the virtual work kind of comes to life into the material world. And I would like to encourage you to pass by. I know that Professor Lori Ricordana is also going to have an exhibit through the fall. And we want to highlight, Michelle has done a great job with this highlighting our internal talent, putting it out there so individuals could see everything that we offer. So, as we continue to move forward, I just want to ask all of you, if you have ideas, someone in the community that you feel that we should showcase, that we should, promote their craft, we're happy to do that. Also, we have a Yiddish musical performance with Benjamin Sutton and Ben Robin. That's going to take place on September 21st at 6:30. And the other item that we're working on, Natalia Watkins is also at our office. She's working on the website. We want to make sure that, as the president mentioned, that we're getting all these recognitions from different places. We're going to get a lot of attention. We want to make sure that we have the virtual presence, that everything is there, so they could see our action plans, as the president mentioned, our survey results and everything else, all the wonderful work that is happening. And again, not my work, but our work, something that we've been doing together. And before I pass it on to Lilisa and Jose, very briefly, early last week, we were really excited. It seemed that we had a really good opportunity to secure a parking lot by PC Richards. That would have been ideal. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. We get to share that at the town hall. Unfortunately, things didn't pan out the way that we wanted to. And, so right now we're still going to be using the parking lot at 59th Street. We have, as you know, we scheduled the shuttle rides in the morning to make sure that if you come in the morning, that the shuttle is there, like waiting for you, rather than you waiting for the shuttle. So we have a ride at 8 o'clock in the morning, another one at 8:30, another one at 9, depending on what time you get there. We have a similar process in the afternoons, 5:30, 5:50, 6:15, if you leave the campus, and that'll take you back to the parking lot. But, know that we're doing everything that we can to find something that is more practical, something that makes sense. And, if you have any questions, you want to speak offline, I'll be happy to do that. But that's all we are for now. And now I would just like to, provide an opportunity for questions if there's any before I pass it on to my partners. Jose.
Yours, let's hold off on the questions for the end if we could, just to make sure we get through our agenda. But thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And Jose and Lalisa.
Thank you so much. So thank you, viewers, for that update from DE&I. Thank you, Chris Reaver. Thank you for allowing us to speak today and to share with everyone here at the town hall, and for those who will listen later. But first, I want to start by saying welcome back, everyone, and welcome to those who have continued to be here the entire time. So last week, yours, Jose, and myself, and I'll speak for a bit, and then I'll pass it on to my new partner, Jose Lowe. So last week, we had an opportunity to discuss how we would distribute the much anticipated PAC Day comprehensive action plan, as Dr. Reaver referred to it. And thank you so much for referring to it that way, Dr. Reaver. I think it's important that people know that one of the things that makes our PAC Day at Hudson so unique is that we have huge support from the top down. And that's what helps to make us different. But with that being said, I am so happy to share that we were able to get it out to each and every last one of you. I know some had already saw maybe a draft of it, but now it has been shared with the entire Hudson County Community College. So kudos to everyone that had any part in this action plan. And we want you to take a look at it and review it. Well, this plan, as you know, was formed around, or for some of you who may not know, because some of you may be new here to the college. So again, we welcome those of you who are new. This is your first time attending the town hall. But this plan, and you got it in the email as well, it was formed around 4 overarching goals that emerged from the climate survey that was administered in the fall of 2019. That survey, as some of you know, over 800 responses were collected. The data was compiled and distilled down with the help of John Scanlon and his team. Then we shared that with the entire college community for input and suggestions. Well, I want you to know that we have finally gotten that document to its final stage, again, with the help of so many people. I don't have time to name them all here. But in that document, you will find an executive summary. You will find a list of all the PAC Day members. You will find in there the 4 overarching goals. And what's critical, I think, are the action steps and initiatives that go along with each of those overarching goals that will serve as a guideline and serve as something for us to take action on. So that 4 years from now, this document goes from 2021 to 2024. That is comprehensive, 4 years. And we all can look back on this 4 years from now and see what was accomplished. Therefore, we will be able to add on, we will be able to assess what's happened. We will be able to look at what we need to do moving forward. So thank you, everyone. This is everybody, everyone here. This should be a point of pride for this entire college. Whether you attended one of the survey meetings, whether you completed the survey, or whatever you did, even if you just showed up to, even if you read the articles and any of the happenings, whatever you did, you are a part of this. If you work at Hudson County Community College, you're a student here, you work here, whatever you do here, if you leave this way, you are a part of this. You should be proud. And with that being said, I would like to reintroduce my new co-chair as of July 1, Jose Lowe. Again, I can't thank him enough for stepping up to that. And congratulations to all the other acknowledgements given out today. And now I turn it over to Jose to share some more. Jose, take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you, Uris, and thank you, Chris. This is very exciting that we have this plan, this action plan that was a whole, feels like a whole couple of years in the making, but now we have it, folks. So now you know, there's no questions like what those guys are doing, what those guys are planning. You got the plan. You got the plan in your hands. Now you know what we're all going to need to do for the remainder of our years here together. So, but first I want to welcome everyone. I missed out on the food truck, but hopefully next week, I'm gonna be the first person to be in line for that. But today I've got my walking sneakers on, so Anna, that we're gonna see each other later, and then also my umbrella, just in case it starts raining. But I'll be out there with you guys to walk to the piers. But this summer, we worked together. I got in the 1st of July. But I'm starting seeing some of the work that the folks have been doing. We had a barbershop meeting with Mr. Knight and Bubuyog in June, and we also had the whole couple activities that we had in the summer. Our tour that we also put together this summer. So we were happening. We were active this past summer, and so now we got our plan, and now we need to start planning for the whole academic year. So on Thursday, 12 p.m., our PAC Day, going to be our first PAC Day meeting for the year, where we're going to go and review. We're going to break down the whole plan, and we're going to see how each group is going to put together their objectives. So I'm looking forward to meeting and speaking to each group member on our first PAC Day meeting on Thursday. I also want to state that If you have any suggestions after reading the plan, if you feel certain things are not included in the plan and you want to bring your own thoughts and ideas, please do so by sending us an email at packday@hcc.edu. So, we're welcoming new ideas that fits within the plan. We definitely need to be together and look at the plan, but we also welcome new ideas that may fit in the plan. So once again, thank you very much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to co-chair this wonderful organization with Ms. Williams and being part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion. By the vice presidency of Uris Pujos. And once again, thank you very much for Dr. Weaver for allowing me to be here today as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jose, Lalisa, Uris. We so appreciate your leadership. Our strategic planning continues, informed by the widespread and thoughtful engagement of our entire college community. I thank all members of our strategic planning core team, and special thanks to Dr. Heather DeVries, John Scanlon, and Dr. Darryl Jones for their leadership. A draft of our new full strategic plan will soon be shared with our college community and with the Board of Trustees for their review and hopefully their approval at the September 14th meeting of the trustees. And Heather's doing a beautiful job of writing narrative around the strategic directions and action items that so many of us contributed to. And it's a great plan. It has such consistency with from all of our various plans. We are truly all rowing the boat in the same direction, as I think comes through loud and clear. But Heather, you in particular, I just can't thank you enough. Great work. As you're aware, the new strategic plan is focused on our two overarching college priorities: diversity, equity, and inclusion, and student success. We're continuing to make steady progress in our shared work to achieve continuous improvement in the completion, transfer, and gainful employment of our students. So it's now my pleasure to invite Dream Team co-chairs, Dr. Sheila Dinan and Dr. Heather DeVries, the two Dr. Ds, to offer an update on the continuing comprehensive work of the ATD Dream Team and others who are leading and supporting achievement of the goals of our Student Success Action Plan. Heather and Sheila.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. Sheila and I are going to share a few slides that we had shared with the Board of Trustees at their August meeting last week, just to highlight a few of the points within it. So I will pull that up. So again, for those of you who attended last week's Board of Trustees meeting, some of this will sound very familiar. But we wanted to offer an update on our Student Success Action Plan, and first and foremost, thank John Scanlon for being such a fantastic partner in this work, as well as offer heartfelt gratitude to the nearly 100 members of the college community. Many of you are on this call this afternoon who have participated in our student success work and making our Student Success Action Plan a reality in some way over the past 2 years. As difficult as it is to believe, we are entering year 3 of achieving the dream. And those 2 years have gone very quickly. The past year has gone very quickly as we've started to implement our action plan. And we're really excited to provide some updates on the work so far and kind of next steps for moving into year 3. So I'm going to start off and then halfway through turn it over to my co-chair, Sheila Dinan. Okay. So initially we had joined Achieving the Dream to move the needle on key student success metrics like graduation rate. And we see here our 3-year graduation rate, the one that is reported to IPEDS, that's first time, full time. And for the most recent data available, which would be for the fall 2018 entering cohort, we see that there's a preliminary, it could be a little bit higher, and we'll have the final numbers soon. We see that we've had an increase of 25% since the fall 2015 cohort, and that data was available in summer 2018. So we've really seen strong incremental improvement here. And again, we're talking about an increase in percentage points, which is really remarkable and really represents so much effort and time and dedication by everyone on this call and all members of the college community. So we tracked, again, graduation and completion rates, whether it be the 3-year first-time, full-time IPEDS rate or other metrics and terms we measure by is a lagging indicator. You know, we kind of, by the time we are measuring it, it's too late to change it. So we want to move the needle on graduation or completion. We are really kind of looking at persistence or retention rates for different cohorts, as well as looking at early engagement and momentum. You know, looking at if students are earning credits in their first semester, how many, looking at GPAs, and then looking at retention from fall to spring, spring to fall, and fall to fall. Again, and all of these give us clues how we're doing in meeting our larger goals that were contained in the action plan. Just a refresher on our student success dream team structure. We had 2 priorities in the action plan, which we will go into a little more depth in a moment. And then we had various how or implementation teams. You know, the priorities represent what we want to accomplish, and the how teams over the past year have really taken a deep dive into how we're going to accomplish those, with really digging into the research and the literature and the data in terms of different strategies to how we make the priorities a reality. So priority 1 focuses on addressing equity gaps in the completion rates of ESL and academic foundation students. Again, we have a larger data-driven goal associated with this, of going from 58% to 64% in our fall-to-fall persistence rates by June of 2024. So there is a larger data-driven goal associated with this, but in terms of kind of qualitatively, this is really what priority 1 is focusing on. And we've seen wonderful movement, as you will see in these next 2 slides. Our first how team was really looking at ESL, and we highlighted some selected accomplishments here. And really the leading indicator, the data, you know, the outcomes we're assessing against these leading indicators that really help tell us that are how we're making progress in meeting our larger goals. It was really positive that we've seen an increase in the percentage of first-time, full-time ESL students exiting ESL in their first academic year. Our second how team in priority 1 is focused on academic foundations, math and English. And we highlighted 1 selected accomplishment here. And again, we've seen some really positive outcomes so far in terms of leading indicators, particularly for academic foundations mathematics students who are exiting academic foundations math in their first academic year. So all of these indicators are pointing in the right direction. At this point, I will turn it over to Dr. Sheila Dinan to talk about priority 2 and where we're headed next.
Thank you, Heather. The second priority involves creating a culture of care that supports all students in persisting by connecting students with academic and non-academic supports and services. We also have strategies that focus on increasing the number of students who are connected with support services that address cognitive and non-cognitive barriers that the students may be facing. Removing these barriers and connecting students with support will help them persist. Next one, Heather, please. And we have one more. Thank you. For priority 2, we are going to start with revealing the leading indicators and then highlight what the teams have been working on and how we've moved the needle on these metrics. The leading indicators give us a good insight as to the programs and projects that we're beginning to get solid data on. Many times we focus on the lagging indicator, the endpoint per se, but we need to see the smaller steps in between that tell us we are truly on the right track. And I will start to brief you all on the current how teams under priority 2. The very first one, and it is a unique one. Our how team number 1 was made up for all of students. There were not faculty or staff in there. Heather and I just were the framers of the conversation or putting out the Zooms for the students, but the students came up with their own perspective of what achieving the dream was and what Hudson is and was and will be for them. And they have come up with the theme of Hudson is home. And what they have done with that is they have conducted interviews with their peers, alumni, and staff as to how and why Hudson is home. And they have consolidated over the year interviews and testimonials into a PowerPoint. And then we also have a video montage for the recorded interviews. What is also unique about Hudson and our students is that this, according to Doctors Mary Fifield and Renee Garcia, that we are the only school in the ATD program across the country that has ever had a student-led team. And as a result of that, Mary was so impressed that she asked Heather and myself to a Zoom meeting with another ATD school that she was coaching and give them the information and how they could adjust it for that rural Illinois college, which is so different, but the concept applied to them. So I think that was outstanding work from our students. I also think that along with everything else that they learned about the project itself, they learned new skills about themselves. They learned skills in group work, decision-making, and project management, which is another byproduct of this particular group of these students. So, next one, Heather, please. Okay. The How team number 2 was very focused on college student success curriculum and used data and literature to recommend 2 important takeaways. First, that the students who take college student success or first year experience, depending on where they were getting the terminology from, tend to persist and complete at greater rates than their peers that do not take it. And the second, that the earlier the students take or enroll in the college student success course, the better they will accomplish. So it's taking it, passing it, and doing it ASAP, which really has been identified through all of the data that How team number 2 has put their time and effort into. And these are exceptional examples of what people are doing in Hudson these days. Okay, How team number 3 was focused on the immediate and the practical needs of the students, and also look forward to improve and expand the services the students need to survive and flourish in the future. Sometimes we get very theoretical, and we forget the practical piece, and it is the practical piece that our students need on an everyday basis to be able to succeed in their academic areas. The Hudson Helps Resource Center now has a full-time director and will coordinate with mental health counseling services, whose main office, Dorian's office, is now on the 3rd floor also. We have added Camp Talk Campus, which is a 24/7 service that is led by peer leaders. We've also expanded telehealth during the pandemic to accommodate the students and their schedules. If they needed a 7 p.m. appointment, Doreen would flex her schedule so that that could occur. If they needed a group session on a Friday night and then Fridays in the summer got switched, they just adjusted to it. So they are flexible. It's a practical and flexible piece that supports all of the students. Under How team number 4, one of the things that was specifically looked at was the Student Success Academy, which was initiated in the spring of 2020. It was in person in the beginning, and it was very, very good. And as some people have heard me tell the story, on the very first initial Student Success Academy, which was a Build-A-Taco luncheon, we had reserved the banquet room in the culinary area, and students were invited, and they were invited to meet from administration down to security and anybody else that they may encounter on their trip through college and how it would be better. And what actually was a great piece about this, we had the room for about 2.5 hours. And at one point in time, I was told by facilities in culinary that we had to vacate the room because they had another group go in. Our students did not want to leave. They had individual contact with the president, with the vice presidents, with anybody they needed to talk to. They love talking with the advisors, but they really love talking to the financial aid people too. So it really has gone on. And then the next 2 semesters, because we were in COVID, we did it again, but we did it virtually. And it has worked. In the last one that I was on, in a room with 4 other administrators and 2 students who had just our attention. And it has proven to be very well established now. The very first group of students that were invited to it, that semester, we had 84% of them graduate after that semester. So we know it works, and we're going to keep on looking at how it will be fleshed out even more. So for all of the other teams and your team, please, thank you for everything that you have done. And that kind of leads us into, what are we doing next? Year 3 in ATD will be designed by the recommendations of all of the HOW teams. Heather and I are reviewing all the submissions and will evaluate the recommendations that will be started immediately in the fall and follow up with other recommendations that may need a little bit more tweaking. Our goal is to address the recommendations that will help Hudson reach our goals of increasing retention and graduation rates. And these are a couple of pieces that are going along with ATD information. In November, ATD is presenting a mental health summit. And 2 weeks ago, I was on an interview with Dr. Laurie Flad from ATD National to obtain college projects and needs so that they can start to form this summit for November. One of the other strong pieces that has come out and is actually on the ground working right now is the Hudson Scholars Program, formerly known as EOFing the Campus. And this is going to be led by Knight and Gretchen, who are providing leadership on this initiative. It will base itself on EOFing the campus, but what we're also doing is extending it to students who may not have traditionally been in EOF. So we are looking at trying to provide high touch, small numbers, support, and mentorship. And as of Thursday, we just put forth 4 new advisors for this program, and they are in process right now, and we look forward for them to be coming. One of the things that people should know about Hudson, and you already do know, is that we don't tend to drop the ball a lot. And when we were talking earlier with Drs. Fifield and Garcia, they were talking about some of the other colleges that they coach. And during the initial part of pandemic, and even up to this point in the pandemic, some schools just did not continue their ATD work. And ultimately, that's going to put their schools behind. I think if at all, Heather and I may have looked at it for 2 weeks and then we got right back into it. And both of the coaches are saying this is a true testament to the college and everybody involved in it, that no matter what is going on, we're looking at our goals, and our goals are all student oriented. And we're just very happy to work with such a dedicated, incredible group of colleagues. And Heather and I thank you on that. And Chris, I want to thank you for the time that you gave Heather and I the opportunity to present to the board, and I'll turn it back to you at this point.
Wow, thank you so much, Sheila and Heather. This is really important and very real work that is having concrete outcomes. We can't thank you enough for your leadership. Last week, our faculty, staff, and students in the Division of Nursing and Health Sciences held the annual radiography graduation white coat ceremony to celebrate the graduates of our radiography program. The 2021 radiography class began with 18 students, and 18 students completed and graduated from the program and were celebrated last week. We thank Dean Kathy Sarangelo, Director Cheryl Cashel, Instructor Inez Cruz, and others for their leadership of this program and event. And we congratulate all the students, including those receiving awards of excellence. As we've discussed at the last two town halls, we're working in earnest to offer educational opportunities for individuals who are incarcerated in the Hudson County Correctional Facility and individuals who were previously incarcerated and are now re-entering society in the workforce. We're working closely with the newly formed Hudson County Department of Housing and Community Reintegration, led by Frank Mazza, and the New Jersey Reentry Corporation, led by former New Jersey Governor James McGreevey. A task force chaired by Heather DeVries and Lori Margolin is coordinating both of these initiatives, working with Frank Mazza, Governor McGreevey, their colleagues, our college leadership, faculty, staff, students, and others to consider all the possibilities and to plan early approaches to educating individuals who are or were justice involved. We hope to grow and develop this work over time. Lori and Heather, will you please discuss this project briefly, including current approaches and future expectations? And I know we've made some real progress since the last town hall. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Reber. I'll provide an update on the Academic and Workforce Pathway Program for students who are incarcerated and then turn it over to Heather. The Academic and Workforce Pathway Program is a one-year program for up to 55 individuals who are incarcerated at the Hudson County Correctional Facility and is funded by the Hudson County Housing and Community Reintegration Department. Individuals will have the opportunity to enroll in either a degree or workforce training program. In addition, all students in the program will be enrolled in a course on life skills and financial literacy, and a class on employment readiness provided by our partner, Women Rising. Instruction for the college will be provided online or remotely, and the expectation is that individuals will continue the program upon release in the community. To date, we have enrolled about 25 students, about evenly split between the two programs for the fall semester. To enroll students, we went to the correctional facility and provided in-person information sessions to 4 individuals at a time. The individuals we spoke with seemed motivated and engaged in the process and interested in the program. And we learned that a few individuals already have college credit from HCCC. This is a very complex program with the inherent challenges of operating inside the correctional facility and the challenge of forging new partnerships between large organizations with different missions. I think we're off to a great start and very excited about the future of this and our other program. I would like to thank a few people for making this happen. Maritza Reyes is leading the effort for us from my team, and she's working with many colleagues around the college. Matt and his team, including Darlery and Nakia, Sheila and her team, Trisha and her team, Bob Kahn, David Clark, and of course, co-chair Heather. And I would also like to acknowledge and thank the staff, faculty, and students who have expressed an interest in volunteering for these programs. We look forward to providing future updates and working with them as well. Heather?
Thank you so much, Lori. I will update on our initiative with the NJRC, New Jersey Reentry Corporation, who serves individuals who were previously incarcerated, or we've started adopting the term justice involved to remain contemporary in the terms we're using and inclusive as well of both of these initiatives, the one Lori just described and our ongoing work with NJRC. As we have spoken about before in various venues, we are offering 2 programs or courses of study, if you will, at the NJRC on site at their training and employment facility in Kearney. This fall, on the workforce development side, there is an advanced manufacturing bootcamp and CNC operator course. And on the academic credential credit bearing side, we have the 9 credit sequence of supply chain management courses. It's 3 courses for 9 credits. And those courses are part of the transportation, logistics, and distribution academic certificate. So students will have the opportunity to both earn an industry recognized credential in supply chain management through these courses, as well as continue on in the spring to work towards earning an academic certificate. So we're very excited about that. In the past few weeks, we have finalized instructors and course times, and enrollment is underway at NJRC. Lori and I will hear from our contact there later today, hopefully, regarding how recruitment is going and what enrollment looks like there. So we're anxiously awaiting that update. NJRC has really been a wonderful partner in meeting our needs, and we've submitted wish lists for facilities and what we need, and phase 3 of construction is nearly complete, so we should have everything we need for fall and even a little bit beyond. Otherwise, conversations with the task force are starting spring 2022 offerings, how we're building on fall 2021 offerings in spring, and then what we might want to offer that's new. So those conversations are just starting and will be continuing in the coming weeks, as we will need to provide that information before we know it. We are programs perhaps or courses in computer science, maybe a few in the health science arena as appropriate. So again, conversations are in their early stages here. And then as part of the August 2021 board materials, the Board of Trustees adopted and approved a memorandum of understanding between the college and the NJRC. So we are bringing that across the finish line and are working on identifying a date for a signing ceremony at the training and employment facility in Kearney. And that is all I have on NJRC. And Dr. Reber, I will turn it back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Lori, Heather, and other members of the task force. This is huge as well, and I think is the start of a whole new range of opportunities we can bring that are life-changing and transformational for people. Well, I hope you'll all attend some of this week's Back Together events that began yesterday, and I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank and recognize Amala Ogburn for coordinating all these events, and also the many other colleagues who worked to help us all reconnect on campus. And I know Veronica Gerasimo and Anna Kropitsky, among others, have played a central role. So thank you, colleagues. And man, that's taken a lot of time, but we do now open the meeting to questions, comments, and celebrations. I can go beyond 1:30 as long as we need to, for those of you who can stay and want to ask questions and discuss anything. So if you would, please raise your hand.